Michael was an ordinary young man with big dreams, but a quiet life. He worked at a small bookshop in the city, spending his days arranging shelves and helping customers. Every evening, he took the same bus home, sat in the same seat, and listened to the same playlist. Life was simple, predictable, maybe even a bit lonely. One rainy afternoon, as he rushed to catch his usual bus, he bumped into a woman at the corner. Her umbrella flipped inside out, and their eyes met for a brief second. Her name was Emily. She laughed nervously, and so did he. He helped her fix the umbrella, and they both stood in the rain for a moment longer than strangers usually would. That small moment would change everything. The next day, Michael saw Emily again, this time inside the bookshop. She smiled when she recognized him, and he offered her a cup of tea from the small counter in the corner. They sat near the window as the rain fell again, talking about books, music, and how strange it was to meet twice by chance. Emily had just moved to the city for work. She loved poetry and old movies. Michael listened with quiet admiration, surprised at how easily he could talk to her. Her laugh was soft, and her eyes sparkled with curiosity. Before she left, she said, "Maybe I'll come by again tomorrow," and she did. Over the next few weeks, Emily and Michael met almost every evening at the bookshop. Sometimes they read in silence, sometimes they talked for hours. She brought him her favorite poems, and he shared his sketches, small drawings he made of the city and of her, though he never admitted it. Their bond grew naturally, without pressure. Michael found himself waiting for her smile, her stories, her presence. It was quiet, comforting, like finding home in someone's company. One rainy evening, as she read aloud from a book of poetry, Michael realized he didn't just like her, he was falling in love. Michael didn't know how to tell her. Every time he tried, the words got stuck. What if she didn't feel the same? What if he ruined everything? Emily, on the other hand, was starting to sense his feelings. She noticed the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching, the small ways he made her laugh, or how he remembered every little thing she said. One evening, just before closing, she looked at him and smiled. "You know, this bookshop became my favorite place." Michael smiled back. "Mine too," he said, his voice soft. It wasn't a confession, but it was enough for now. Everything changed one rainy afternoon. Emily had just returned from a job interview that, like many others, ended in rejection. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the window, tears in her eyes. But then something shifted. She remembered Michael's words. "One day, you'll surprise yourself." She opened her laptop and began typing. Not a job application, but a story. Her story. Writing became her escape, and slowly, her passion. Each word on the screen felt like healing. For the first time in months, she felt in control. Day by day, Emily turned her pain into pages. She wrote during the night, early mornings, and every quiet moment she had. Michael noticed the change. Her eyes lit up again, and her smile returned. One evening, he read her writing and was stunned. "You have something powerful here," he said. "You need to share it with the world." That night, they sat together and submitted her first short story to an online magazine. Emily felt nervous, but for the first time, hopeful. Weeks passed, and Emily kept writing, pouring her emotions into each line. Then one morning, her phone buzzed with an email. Her story had been published. She stared at the screen in disbelief, her heart racing. "Michael," she called out. He rushed over, and together they read the message. "They loved it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. That day, something shifted. Readers began leaving kind comments. One wrote, "Your story gave me strength." Emily realized her pain had found purpose. With her story gaining attention, Emily was invited to speak at a local event about resilience. She stood nervously before the audience, her hands slightly trembling. Michael sat in the front row, smiling proudly. As she spoke, sharing her journey through heartbreak, writing, and rediscovery, the room fell silent. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. People lined up to thank her. One woman said, "You helped me believe in love again." Emily smiled. For the first time in a long time, truly at peace. After the event, Emily received an email from a major publisher. They wanted to turn her blog into a book. It felt surreal. She stared at the screen, unsure if she was dreaming. Michael walked in and saw her expression. "What's wrong?" he asked. She turned the laptop to him. "They want to publish me," she whispered. He hugged her tightly. "You deserve this." Emily knew this was a turning point. She could either stay safe or take the leap. For the first time, she chose to believe in herself. 1 year later, Emily stood in a bookstore holding her published book. A crowd had gathered for her first signing event. Her hands trembled slightly, but her smile was steady. Michael stood beside her, proud and supportive. "You made it," he whispered. She nodded, remembering every moment of struggle and growth. As the first fan approached, Emily looked around and felt a deep sense of peace. This wasn't just the end of her story, it was the beginning of something beautiful. She had turned her passion into purpose and her dream into reality.